do you have a moment, gentle viewers, to speak about our Lord and Betrayer, Bontu the Glorified, and why she doesn't see the amount of play she deserves in Commander? If you are, and even if you are not, come join I, El Magnifico, Professario, Asombroso Cranio, as I play Griselbrand's advocate. Today we shall be looking at Bontu the Glorified, and why he should be seeing more play in Commander. According to the website edhrec.com, Bontu is in roughly 112 decks as a Commander as of the creation of this video. But that is not why we're here to talk about where Bontu should be. Within the 99, Bontu is seen in roughly 1,839 decks, based on EDHREC statistics. And whilst that may seem like a lot, in contrast, the highest rank mono-black creature, the DC Undead Vizier, is in 21,493 decks. In this video, I would like to discuss, in my own roundabout way, why Bontu is a card you might want to consider as part of your 99, as well as which commander she should follow, and cards she works well with. But first, look at the card itself, and where it fits in the recent history of Magic: The Gathering. Bontu the Glorified was printed in the Amonkhet block, which was released in 2017, based around Egyptian themes and mythology. She is a mono-black 3-drop god-type creature that possesses 3 power and 3 toughness. Additionally, Bontu comes with Indestructible and Menace. Her active ability is that if you pay 1 colorless and 1 black mana, you can sacrifice a creature in order to scry 1, then you gain 1 life, whilst each of your opponents lose 1 life each. Also, like every one of the Amonkhet gods, Bontu had a downside, which is that a creature under your control must have died that turn in order for you to be able to attack or block with her. Frankly, it is this drawback and the cost of her activated ability that tends to push her out of the commander slot. Whilst she is exceptionally cheap to cast and possesses pretty good stats, and can get through with a bit of damage with her keyword ability, Menace, having to kill a creature you control before each combat step to ensure that Bontu can block or attack can whittle down your own forces, especially if, for some weird reason, you aren't running a deck that relies on zombies or other sorts of tokens or occurable creatures like reassembling skeleton. Whilst that was just a brief outline of the card, we should now go more in depth by looking at the pros and cons of having Bontu within your 99 At 3 CMC, 1 black, 2 generic. Bontu is exceptionally cheap to cast and easy to get on curve, even if that's not where you really want her to be sometime. Her indestructible nature, combined with her 3/6 stats, makes her a hard wall to get past, letting her absorb low toughness aggro pests such as gobbos when activated, more so if those pests have death touch. If granted Death Touch herself with a card like Archetype of Finality, Bontu can deal with bigger creatures, especially those with trample who would otherwise push through less tough creatures. The drain side of her activated ability can help turn the shift of a game a little in your favor, especially since it symmetrically hits every opponent. This can be amplified when teamed up with the infamous aristocrat staples, such as Blood Artist and Zool the Poor Cutthroat, as well as edict effects like Grave Pact, or enchantments like Sanguine Bond and Exquisite Blood. Bontu's activated ability can also be paired with artifacts like Rings of Brighthurst, Illusionist Braces, siphoning twice for the price of 1 creature. Another part of Bontu's abilities that most tend to forget or ignore is her Scry 1 whenever you activate her Sack ability. This can help you filter your deck in a pinch, especially when you have a card draw engine on board like Phyrexian Arena, or even Necropotence. It also effectively becomes Scry 2 if you have Illusions Braces equipped. It's 2 separate actions, helping you go deeper for answers, or just get rid of things you no longer need or can cast. But you should all know how the Scry mechanic works by now. The biggest pro to Bontu, though, is that it's exceptionally cheap to buy. The basic version is just under $2 American at SCG price, with foils under $5. Even the Invocation version is under $30 US, which is half the price of Hazoret's Invocation, which makes this card perfect for budget builders, or those who want a stopgap until they can afford a rarer, pricier card. We shall move on to the cons of running Bontu. Bontu's biggest negative is the obvious one, that she can't really do anything unless a creature you control dies. This doesn't mean that they have to be sacrificed to Bontu before she can attack or act like a nigh unbreakable wall. This means that you need another sort of sacrifice outlet for the creatures to be spared, be they permanents or tokens, well before you cast or want to block with Bontu, meaning more often than not she's just sitting there on the field if you drop her on curve. The other major negative with Bontu is the cost of her activated ability. 1 black mana, 1 generic. This means unless you have something that gives you black mana on demand, such as Cryptogast's mana doubling ability, or a Cage Sun, as well as spare creatures to sacrifice, you are limited in how many times you can activate Bontu's Drain and Scry. Even if you do drain your opponents for 1 life each, you only gain a single point in return, lessening any advantage you may gain in a 4v4 style game. You may also suffer if your sacrificial targets get hit by bounce or exile effects, leaving you short on mana and a creature. Similar for mass board wipes destroy things such as Wrath of God. The most obvious strategy that Bontu goes into is Aristocrats, due to her being a pay-for-sacrifice outlet that is hard to remove. This means that she goes well into the obvious decks led by Merrin of Clan Nettletooth, or Carador, Ghost Chieftain, not to mention the increasingly popular new, at least at time of recording, Commander Teysa Karlov. Yet if you're going the aristocrat's route with Bontu, she tends to fend better in non-conventional sacrifice strategies, such as Marchesa, the Black Rose, to protect creatures with +1 counters on them, being targeted with exile effects, or going with Athreos, God of Passage, to help return creatures with good ETB triggers to the battlefield to get value from both Athreos and the effects. Yet if you're looking for an unconventional aristocrat style of deck, then the best commander for Bontu to follow is Muldrotha, the Grave Tide. In its most basic form, a Muldrotha deck is looking to recur permanents from the graveyard to the battlefield in order to take advantage of ETB effects. Yet what if you were to flip, mixing the end of the battlefield effects and leave the battlefield effects, by utilizing such cards as Doom Dissenter, Chasm Skulker, Desecrated Tomb, Tusi, Imaginary Friend, and Open the Graves, and create a form of value by replacing what has died, adding a token to the field, and adding another token when Muldrotha or another effect returns something from the graveyard. This is a deck tech that we shall delve into at a later date, but for now we shall move on to the best commanders for Bontu and those who follow the theme of theft. For those not in the know, a thief or theft deck is one where the primary strategy, strangely enough, is to steal permanents from opponents so you can use them for yourself. The most famous theft spell would most likely be Act of Treason, but there are several commanders who specialize in taking creatures and occasionally other permanents from opponents, and it is this soundly within the strategy that Bontu sits best. And here we shall explore why and which commander she works best with. While theft spells usually fall within the domain of the red color pie, there are usually fleeting forms of control, whereas black and blue often have more lasting means of taking control over opponents' things. If you can repeatedly use your commander spells or creatures to take possession of your opponent's creatures, you'll have more things to feed to Bontu. For these purposes, the strongest combination you can go with is Grixis, with a commander like Marchesa, the Black Rose. But any combination of blue or red with black can easily house Bontu, such as Esper's Sen triplets, or Rakdos's Diametra, the Murder King. You may even try something unexpected with Mardu and Queen Marchesa, or even Alesha, who smiles at death, despite not her being a strictly thief style of deck. Personally, I am drawn to Esper's Mariki Re-Beret, despite her weak constitution. Yet I am also looking at shifting to Jund, hiding Bontu behind an unexpected commander like Zira Aaron, with whom you can use various theft and tutor effects, as well as tokens and mana doubles while they keep throwing things at Bontu. Though, again, this shall be a deck to discuss another day. With any of these commanders, you can use Bontu to sacrifice opponents' stolen creatures, often combined with other effects such as the aforementioned aristocrats or zombie tokens, creating with the likes of Open the Graves, which only require the creature you control to die, making this strategy effective with Kalatus, Traitor of Get, or Anafenz the Foremost, who exile stolen creatures after you've made sacrifices of them. Similarly, it can be said for the Scarab God, who can exile opponents' creatures from the graveyards to create tokens, which then can be sacrificed to Bontu when they have no longer use of you, giving you a little more advantage against graveyard-reliant decks and commanders. Regardless of which commander whom you have Bontu follow, or if you make her the commander herself, if you go aristocrat theft or another style, there are certain cards that should generally be run in conjunction with Bontu. The most obvious followers of Bontu are creatures that can recur themselves in the graveyard either to the field or to your hand. Creatures such as Gravecrawler, Bloodsoul Champion, Reassembling Skeleton, and Bloodghast are obvious musts to go with Bontu. Similarly, creatures with the Turtle Eyes and Emblem make strong sacrifice targets for Bontu, fitting both her ability and Vorthos themes. Any enchantment that allows the return of creatures like Phyrexian Reclamation, whose cost can be offset by Bontu's activated ability. Other life-gaining things are a huge boon to Bontu. The Khan aspect of Palace Siege can also help you reoccur other creatures, while Grave Betrayal can help you steal your opponent's creatures to use as sack fodder or return to win cons depending on their power level. Other spells like Thrilling Encore, Wrath of Dark Realms, or Face the Reward can help you either steal more sack fodder from your opponents, especially after a board wipe, or return all things that you have sacked or lost so you can start your cycle again. Of course, you have your suite of Aristocrat All-Stars. Cards like Dictator of Erebos, Zulaport Cutthroat, Blood Artist, Grim Haruspex, and Pitiless Plunderer. Yet if you want to go deep in the style, play Bontu after he sits with the likes of Mikaeus Unhallowed and Metharek, Kral Death Priest. If you want to go a little left field and stray into enemy colors, Requiem Angel paired with Arcane Adaptation and Or Conspiracy from Arcadian Masks to turn all your spirits into other creature types. The token double like Anointed Procession and other sack out like Phyrexian Altar that produce colored mana to drain out opponents you can create more creature tokens. More on this combo later. Another odd partner for Bontu with Odric, Lunarch Marshal. Because of his ability to share Bontu's menace and indestructible amongst your other creatures. This is meant for a more aggressive style of deck, where Bontu's sack ability is secondary, placing creatures on the field, where the two are not mutually exclusive if you have ways to generate tokens to feed to Bontu, especially ones created when you attack. Such strategies work well with Commander like Lesher, who smiles at death, where you can bring back a value piece from your yard, such as Ravenous Chupacabra. This works well if you sack the value creature pre-combat, so it's already to go from the yard, ensuring that you have the mana to pay for it. If you're like a little god tribal, Bontu pairs well with sister, or Ketra the True, as well as Heliod, god of the sun. If you want slow token fodder, although the best god for Bontu to follow or be with is of course the infamous Scarab god, where you can sack a cheap creature with a strong ETB effect for Bontu, then use the Scarab with the ability to bring them back as a zombie during your opponent's end step to get the Scarab god's upkeep trigger. Bontu can only attack and block if a creature under your control has died each turn. These do not carry over, but they do not have to have died to Bontu himself in order to activate her. You can't declare attackers or blockers and then kill one of your attackers or blockers to activate Bontu to either attack or block. Once blockers or attackers have been declared, you have moved past the point that Bontu can be activated at either. You can still sack an attacker or blocker to Bontu before damage is declared to remove it from combat, since Bontu's ability is always at instant speed, thus negating lifelink and other similar upon combat damage triggers your opponents may have. If your opponent makes a second combat stage, through the likes of Nylea, the Blade Blossom, Aggravated Assault, or Combat Celebrant, and you had a creature die during previous combat phase, Bontu is considered active and can be assigned to the blocker. The same is true if you create multiple combat phases yourself, had a creature die in the initial combat phase. Unlike the Theros gods, Bontu and her siblings are always creatures, so effects that require you to sacrifice, bounce, or otherwise remove a creature that target Bontu will resolve regardless of whether or not she can attack or block. Similarly, Odric Lunarch Marshal can spread Bontu's abilities to other attacking and blocking creatures regardless of whether or not Bontu herself is activated. Whilst Bontu may not be the best of the god-type creatures available, having more than a few hooves to jump through in order to make work, he is still worthy of consideration within your 99. In decks such as Chase of Karlos, Death Triggers, Aristocrats, Bontu with a valuable to mid to late game sack outlet help Taysa take advantage of numerous deck triggers within her deck. In fact, They're the rather deviant but convoluted combo involving Bontu, Teysa Karlov, Requiem Angel, Anointed Procession, Phyrexian Altar, and Divine Visitation. First, you must assemble all these pieces on the board, then sacrifice 2 non-spirit creatures to the Phyrexian Altar, generating 2 black mana. You then have Teysa's trigger the Requiem Angel, creating 4 tokens with Teysa's on-death ability. This in turn activates Anointed Procession, creating 4 more spirit tokens. Divine Visitation then turns spirit tokens into 4/4 Angel, using 2 floating black mana from the altar to pay for Bontu's ability, which then again feeds Requiem Angel, who then makes 2 spirit tokens, which are doubled thanks to Procession, then turn into angels by the Visitation. You then sacrifice angel tokens to the altar to create black mana for Bontu, repeating this process as many times as it takes to either drain your opponents out, or have enough angels with flying, lifelink, and vigilance to just overwhelm everyone. You can add extra convolution to this combo by inserting cards like Illusionist Braces and Sanguine Bond to double activations on Bontu and then drain the life from your opponent so much swifter. Or putting the combo in Abzan decks so you can run Doubling Season and Parallel Lives to increase how many tokens by an insane amount, potentially speeding up your sacrifice drains. Plus, if you set this up correctly, you'll have more than the frequently mentioned aristocrat suite online to fuel the life drain. Despite the complexities of such a combo, and there are more likely to be done at better prices than them for Bontu, it does go to demonstrate but one way she can be used in an interesting, if complex, way. Whilst she isn't an auto-include in every deck that runs black, Bontu conserves a specific purpose in many decks that are concerned with death triggers and LTB triggers, as well as those who want value when trying to get something to the grave in order to recur it. So in building your next aristocrats, leave the battlefield or recursion decks, please consider our lord and traitor, Bontu the Glorified, as part of your 99.